Hey guys, I'm at Cliff's Shaft Mine Museum. This looks like an interesting place. Let's go inside.
This mine is the Cliff Shaft Mine. My name is Chris Gleason. Please, if you have any questions during the tour, just interrupt me. I love questions. This mine produced a mineral called specular hematite. It's a hard iron ore. This is an example of what came out of here. It's very beautiful, especially when you see a mountain of it outside. It's about 65–75% iron. It was a natural iron ore. It would have been put right in the furnace. And that's how they used to do it before they made pellets. If you have a chance, this is called the lamp room. Later on in the mine life, they used this to charge lamps that were like packs here for incandescent lights. There's diamond drill displays. There's all kinds of cool stuff. Please come back and take a look. Okay, let's go this way. It's called the service tunnel. This was built when Sea Shaft was built so that the guys could go. They could come from the mine shaft and the head frame. After work, they could come and go to the showers without going outside. Previously, when they ran the A and the B shafts, if there was a snowstorm, they had to come out in their sweaty clothes and walk to the drive to take a shower. This was an improvement. It was all enclosed. Also, the steel on the floor here, as you're coming back, the guys would go like this to get the dirt off their boots so that they didn't track the dirt into the shower. So if you guys want to clean your shoes off, you can. Yes, ma'am.
You would like to know what these are used for?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you. These are blasting caps. They would put the blasting caps in here, or the igniters for the explosions. They would keep them dry. Apologize, I skipped over that part. Mining is really not that complicated. You make small rocks out of big rocks, okay? The shaft goes straight underground. In this case, it goes down about 1,300 feet, and at certain intervals, you have a drift of levels. So, like at the first level, you might be 300 feet down, and basically it goes horizontally. And you mine the material out. You take it to the end of the tunnel where the skip is, and you load it in there, and you hoist it up. But to mine something, basically, at the end of a tunnel, you have a rock wall, and to make that tunnel longer, you have to blast that out. So the guys would be in there all morning with pneumatic drills. They would be putting holes into the walls, and they would fill those holes with, first they would use the blasting cap igniters. They put them in and they would put explosives into the holes, and then the wires, they would wire them together in a sequence. They were all sequenced by number. And the reason they were sequenced by number is that when they blew those off with this right here, you seen this in a Bugs Bunny show? It's the doorstop now, but anyway, they would blow that off. It would go boom, and what they did was every explosion was on a delay. If you had 12 holes, you would have a half-second delay. So instead of just going boom, it would go boom, ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. You would feel like this thud. They would count the thuds because they didn't want to come back to the pile of rock and find one that didn't go off. I had a friend that was 90 years old. He's still 90, but he's still around. But he's still with us. But there was a pile of rock that had been blown up, and one of the charges went off, and it exploded when he was looking this way, and all the iron ore went into the side of his face. And they had to pull it out with tweezers at the hospital. But he went to work the next day, so that shows you how tough those guys were. This is called the brass check room. This is where you would go when you first came to work. You would tell them your number. You had an employee number or something, and it corresponded to a brass medallion. And you would be given that brass medallion, and you put that in your pocket. And you would go to work in the mine all day, and then you'd come back. And when you came back, you had to turn your brass medallion into a box or into a basket or something. Then they take all those medallions and put them up in numerical order. And if you didn't come back, they knew that you were gone because you had turned in your medal. Oh. So then they would know that there's somebody in there back there that didn't come back. Lots of times, there could be somebody could have a medical emergency. They could have a heart attack. They could hit their head. They could be sleeping. All kinds of stuff could happen. So more often than not, it was because the guy was in a rush to take a shower and he didn't throw his tag in there. My grandfather, this is his lunchbox. His name was Ero Lusteri. It was E-R-O, was his first name, which is kind of a cool name. 𝙝𝙧𝙧𝙚, which is Finnish last name. So this was his lunchbox. I used it in the 80s when I went to school, at least when I was working in the mine. This was his lunchbox. You can tell these lunchboxes typically had a repaired handle on it. You can see he's got a copper pipe there. And they also made one of these little brass things here to keep the little clasp closed. But one thing that I noticed, his number is 143. He worked at the Mather and then the Empire Mine. But if you look on the end of it, I noticed this one day. He had, I can just see him in 1951 peeling the Chiquita banana sticker off the banana and throwing it on his lunchbox. I thought that was really cool. Now there's jokes that the miners would play. They would take this, and if you left your lunchbox on the bench in the locker room, that was bad. So what they would do is they'd open it up, they'd take all the stuff out, the pasty or the apple and sandwich, and take it out, and they would screw screws into the bottom of the lunchbox to the bench, and then put all the stuff back in it and close it up. So that when you finally came back and got your lunch, you went and grabbed it. And I told that story for 3-4 years. There was a kid that was a little bit older than you. He says, that's why all the handles broke. And he's right. That's why they had to repair all the handles, because of all the joking around. But anyway, I thought that was cool. That's my grandfather's lunchbox. So, any questions about this? Yeah. Anyway, we're going to walk this way. Please watch your head. You could use this. They would use this to. They would blow the big spool of wire on this, put a pipe through the middle, and they would pull wire out when they were running lights and power into drift. That was made probably in one of our shops. So let's go this way.
Wow.
But you can see way up there. That is where above there is the above that ceiling right there is where the motors are. So. And then you little kids always ask me what's in here. And this is an emergency exit. If there was a fire in the tunnel, you could get out this way. So it's just once, we're only about 12 feet underground. So, pull hard, pull hard. Pull again. So there would have been a speaker in the control room. They would know those guys are ready to go down in the mine. You can pull it too. There you go. I had 115 second graders here. Do you know how long it takes them all to pull it? It's about 10 minutes. So anyway, we're going to go this way. We have a blacksmith demonstration. There were multiple blacksmiths. There were about 11 different blacksmith shops on the property at one time.
So I'm Dave Bilius. I'm a third generation Finnish miner. Gary got a hold of me and he told me about this forge here. He said, we have an unused forge at the museum. No one's using it. I said, I'll be right there. This here was our wind. Goes for the coal. Was what was. So the blacksmiths in the shop were doing chains and hooks, and pins and swivels and hooks. I don't know. They just did so much. Anything you can imagine they made in the shop. And that went on until the late 30s when mass production caught up to them guys. By early 40s, mass production had pretty much eliminated blacksmiths working 8 hours a day.